Speaker.
The Honourable David Parker, 5-minute call.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Firstly, can I congratulate the Honourable Nick Smith for introducing this bill. As I was sitting in my chair a moment ago talking to Nanaia Mahuta as to what I would say when I took this, we both sort of reflected on the fact that if Shane Jones was still here, he'd say, "Labour Party policy!" So I don't need to say that for myself, sir. The Greens have also said it. I think there is cross-party agreement that this is a very good thing to do. Mr Speaker, can I just refer to a couple of comments from the Maori Party? First of all, they say they don't often vote with the Ag Party. They back every budget in this House that the National Government passes, and were it not for the support of the Maori Party, those budgets would not sail through in the way they do. Mr Speaker, can I say there was an interesting comment from the ACT Party. The ACT Party came here and they said, oh look, you know, you've always got to compensate when you're taking away what they define as a property right. It's interesting that people like the ACT Party would see the value of New Zealand's fresh water be grandparented and tradable amongst those people who currently have rights to use water under the RMA. And I bet you that if the National Party was foolish enough to do that, and I suspect that they've actually seen this one coming and decided that they're now not going to put that, to take that particular risk, the ACT Party the next day would be coming along and saying, I'm sorry, you can't have a decent minimum flow for that river, or you can't stop us putting as much pollution into that river unless you compensate us for the property right. Well, I've got a different view of property rights to the ACT Party, and I think they over-define them. Mr Speaker, I want to refer to something in the regulatory impact statement which goes to the issue of compensation that has been spoken to by the Maori Party. And I want to read out paragraphs 47 to 51. It's been decided that compensation will not be paid in relation to the creation of the sanctuary on the grounds of sustainability, protection and biodiversity. This will be explicitly ruled out, achieved by ruling out compensation in the legislation. The principle not to compensate for global conservation initiatives of this significance is consistent with previous decisions not to compensate for other measures taken to secure the long-term sustainability of marine biodiversity, such as the establishment of marine reserves. I won't read out the following paragraphs because I'll run out of time, but I think that's an important point of principle that we should explore. Because if we've got to the point where around the world the only way that we can conserve things is by compensating for what are alleged to be intractable property rights in respect of those people who have got rights to harvest, I can't see the world making much progress in these conservation efforts. So I think I'm probably able to be convinced by the Minister, and we'll listen to submissions at Select Committee, that that's probably right in principle. So the Minister, I hope, would perhaps take some comfort from us on that, because I hope that they're not forced in the position of actually giving up on that acknowledgement, that there are actually conservation things that cut across people's right to exploit resources, which nonetheless ought not to be compensated when we're actually conserving something that ought to be conserved. Mr Speaker, I think I've probably just about taken the 5 minutes that I'm sharing with my colleague, the Honourable Damien O'Connor. Suffice it to say that we do think that this is a worthy bill. The Labour Party had similar policy, so did the Greens, and I thank the Minister for bringing this to the House.